I have a full list. So it was a beautiful summer day. I think it was July. No, it was it was in July 2018, and President Trump has enforced a few tariffs in US. So actually, you can see the tariffs that came into effect starting 2018. Most of the people think that there was this just 125% thing, but it was not. So you had few stages that products got affected by in 2018 in general, starting from July, August, September. 818 products, 25%, 279 products, another 25%, then tons of other products, 5,743 had an additional of 10% of import tax, etc., etc. Which is not good news, was not good news, and still is not. But unfortunately, the situation can potentially get worse. So a few weeks ago, to different news outlets, Trump has announced that he would like to impose a 10% tariff on absolutely every category and absolutely any product that is being imported from China. Right? Even the products that don't have any tariff, they want to impose a tariff on it, and the tariffs might go up to 60%. So this is something definitely to consider. It might happen, it might not. I don't want to get political, but this is a possibility. And if this will happen, it doesn't matter what product you're selling. If it comes from China, your margins will decrease from 10% to up to 60%, right? Depending on your product. So that's something to consider. One of the things that all of you need to make sure about, and I don't care how seasoned of a seller you are, or you're absolutely new, don't care how many figures you're making, but a lot of people talk about their revenue. Oh, I make 10 million, I make 20. And I always ask the person, what is your profit? How much money you're actually making? Are you recycling money, or are you actually making any money? And surprisingly, a lot of sellers, even extremely experienced ones, the ones that you're talking to, they tend to not fully realize how much money they're making, because when they're calculating their landed cost, the cost of the product, right, or landed cost of the product, they don't always consider everything. And this is a big mistake. And this is something you need to consider when you're trying to find manufacturers for your product. A lot of people say, oh, this product costs in China $1. Will it cost me the same price in Poland or not? And I would say it doesn't matter if it's the same price, because the product price is not something that is the only thing that you're supposed to consider. You're supposed to consider landed cost. So for those of you who don't know what landed cost is, it's the purchasing price of the actual product. It's the shipping cost. It's everything that involves the customs, the risk, the insurances to getting the product in, and any overheads that you have. I don't know, warehousing, relabeling, Amazon prep, warehouse, etc., etc. Always, when sourcing, consider the landed cost, because just considering the purchasing price is not going to be helpful. And here is a wonderful example why. So I actually gave this example at Camp Ecom, and since then we've updated some of the pricing for the EXW price, so X works. For those factories, I specifically wanted to update to make sure the information stays relevant. Originally, the customer was the purchasing price, the EXW price, X factory works. He was purchasing the product for $37. And you can see when he went and tried to do sourcing in other countries, Turkey was 41, Poland 43, Mexico 45, Bulgaria 35. The customer actually ended up at the end of the day purchasing the product from Mexico, the country that has the highest purchasing price. because he took into consideration landed costs rather than just the purchasing price. Because if we go by purchasing price, he should go to Bulgaria, not even to China. But we took into consideration landed costs and everything.
I think it's so important also. A lot of people don't understand cost of capital, and you mentioned turning over your capital being a huge advantage for the like nearshoring, because you are turning over your capital so much faster with your inventory that it makes a big difference, and a lot of people don't factor that as well. So I like that you pointed that out, and going with the higher price is part of it. Now, where you account for the extra expenses and overhead in your balance sheet or in your accounting is another thing, because you want to show a higher net profit, but the reality is if you expense the overhead of your storage fees and everything, maybe it'll look better, but the reality is you still have those expenses.
Correct. And it's one thing if you want to lie to yourself on how much profit you're actually making, you can lie to yourself. And this is where a lot of sellers are having problems. We have a lot of people coming to us and saying, oh, but this price and that price. But when you look at the numbers don't make sense. So again, yes, your turnaround in terms of financial turnaround is extremely advantageous. For us, the manufacturing that we have in Germany, from the moment we place an order, to the moment it gets to a warehouse here in Amazon, Germany, and like it goes through 3 different warehouses usually, not only in Germany, but in Poland as well. It takes about 11 to 14 days. So it takes us actually 2 weeks from the moment we actually pay the manufacturer to the moment the money are starting to come in, because as soon as we put it in the system that it goes into Amazon warehouse, it knows it's only like 1 day away. They book fast. If it's not a crazy season, then they already start selling even when it's not in the warehouse. So 2 weeks, this is the financial turnaround, right? So we can already start placing new orders with that amount. Brendan, is that okay if there are questions if we go through them a little bit?
Of course. Yeah.
Yes. So demand should be compared to 2019, not to Corona period. Radul Vucetic, you're absolutely correct. And comparing the current demand even if we take 2023 to 2019, we're still not at the same level. So we're still not in the pre-pandemic levels. You were absolutely correct to say that. How much time and orders approximately to negotiate the BOM 4, 5, 10? To be open and honest, if you are good at negotiating, you can already start doing this on order number 3. And it's not only about negotiating your bill of material, but it's also about negotiating your payment terms. We have quite a few customers whom we help find the manufacturers. Then they deal with the manufacturers themselves during the mass production. And they come to us and like, hey, can we renegotiate the payment terms? So usually on payment, on order 3, on the 3rd order that you're placing, for some of them, you can already negotiate payment terms 20% deposit and 80% 1 month's deferred payment after shipment. So think order 3, not even 4 or 5 or 10. But you need to be, honest with your manufacturer in regards to your costs. Yes, speaking Spanish and English, sourcing from Mexico, definitely great. If you are yourself, like me, are not able to speak Spanish, I only speak English, Russian, Chinese, and German. Spanish is somewhere there to be learned. But please use There are a very good resource called Upwork. I don't know if people are familiar. There is Upwork is really great because you can find people from across the globe. So if you're searching for a manufacturer or you're trying to negotiate in a country where you don't speak the language, go on Upwork, hire yourself a translator for $5 or $10 an hour, and save yourself a lot of headache. And honestly, the person on the other side with whom you're talking, they will appreciate it that you're being so professional and that you're trying to kind of to try and understand them as much as possible. Bulgaria, sourcing tons of products. Yes, you have wood, you have different chemical products, you have tea, flowers. If you want to source from Turkey, but you don't want to source from Turkey, you can go to Bulgaria. Bulgaria labor costs are currently a little bit cheaper than the labor costs in Turkey. And in Turkey, you have quite high demand right now because a lot of Germans, German sellers, they're transferring their manufacturing from China to Turkey, because from Turkey to Germany is about 7 to 10 day trucking. So Bulgaria can be a wonderful option. Yeah, the true sketch is up to you. Contacting suppliers in, if I can also help in the conversation there, contacting the suppliers in Bulgaria, in Serbia, and in other countries, it's a little bit different than contacting manufacturers in China. So trying and going and visiting the local factories is a great opportunity. Again, you can find a lot of local people who can speak the local language through applications and through websites like Upwork. One of the resources that you can use is called Europages. Europages and WLW. WLW, maybe I can type it in here. WLW.de and Europages. So WLW is specifically for Germany, right? If you want to find manufacturers in Germany. And Europages are kind of across Europe. You have a lot of Chinese manufacturers on there, but you have a lot of locals as well. Both of the companies have recently been purchased by Alibaba, actually at the end of 2023. And I know for a fact that they're trying to bring more manufacturers in there. One of the things which I'm supposed to be talking about later, if you want to find local manufacturers, try to Google local trade shows. So, for example, you can say toy trade show in Germany, and then you will have the biggest trade show of toys coming up and popping up in Google for you, which is based in Nuremberg. And you have a lot of local manufacturers. The same goes for Bulgaria, the same goes for Turkey. Just trying to find out the trade shows that are in those countries based on the keyword for your product, or maybe material from which your product is made, plus word trade show or expo, can be very helpful. When you find the page, go into the go into the exhibitor list, whether for previous year or if the trade show is happening very close. Check this out, and you can potentially find yourself hundreds of manufacturers. We personally, we go on the ground, like Zeus. We have Zeus, got okay. Like Zeus says, visiting suppliers, like, you know, in person, that is a really, really cool option. We try to do this. So we have people on the ground who go and dig up and, you know, go to little neighborhoods where like only local people know about. Sometimes you kind of need the locals. Insane. Yes, I'm Russian. That's normal. Dear, what is the meaning? What they're trying to say, it depending on Marlene, towards you. Dear can be Nushan, or Nurang, like a womanly or something like this. So for them, how they're being taught in schools, that means dear, which to us means nothing. Suppliers, Turkey. Turkish suppliers can be extremely wonderful. You need to keep your little antenna sources really up. These guys are hardworking. They're very direct. They don't like any bullshit or anything like this. But if they have an opportunity to cheat you a little bit legally somehow, they will, right? These are the type of guys that comes from culture. They will try anything to make as much money as possible. Tons of different trade shows, tons of wonderful opportunities. I have a list, which I will show you guys. You can produce anything from plastic to textiles to chemicals to diapers in Turkey. The quality can be very good, simply for the reason a lot of Turkish manufacturers, they comply with European standards, because a lot of Turkish manufacturers, they produce for huge supermarket chains in Europe, in Italy, in Germany. You have Billa in Italy, Aldi, Rewe, etc., etc. So Turkey is a really, really cool opportunity. They have tons of different trade shows. I think this year we have a list of about 250 different trade shows for 2024. Can share this with you later as well. So tons of different opportunities for manufacturing. Alibaba from Mexico, unfortunately, no. You can find some manufacturers on Alibaba in general for Mexico, and Alibaba will even be doing a small trade show, as far as I know, in Mexico this year. They are trying to recruit as many manufacturers as possible, but unfortunately, there is no one system that exists there. Doesn't want to. Okay, when you have a very large factory that doesn't really want to negotiate with you, one of the first things that you need to do is I understand that the quality is unbeatable, but then I have tons of people telling me this, and I ask, how many manufacturers have you actually got in touch? From how many manufacturers did you actually get samples, right? So Arnav, can you please answer that question, maybe in the comment as well? I need more information to give you more steps on how to negotiate this better. Eva Latam, very cool thing. Brendan, I don't remember if you were there. You were there, yes. You were there, I was there, Amy was there. It's a great event. This year, it will also happen sometime in August. Amy is doing this and a few other people, and it will be, you can follow on Facebook online. There will be more information about this. Okay. All right. Yeah, we can be here for hours. All right, one of the things that you need to do when you're trying to source from another country, it's not only to find the manufacturer, but to actually see if it's profitable to source from that country in the first place. We were talking we need to talk about the currency fluctuations, different type of growth, inflation, and many other things. So don't just say, oh, Mexico, it's close to me, let's go sourcing there. First of all, you can already understand how hard it is to find manufacturers there, but you need to look at many different points, right? And here I'm giving some examples of what points to look at. One of the things, of course, are the labor costs that are rising and the evaluation of the currency in the first place. So, to the point that probably the people want to know, how to actually find manufacturers outside of China. China, you guys know, we got Alibaba, we got 1688, we got global sources. You can go to Canton Fair, etc. Sourcing trips are definitely a thing. There are sourcing trips too. For example, first of all, you can do a sourcing trip on your own. You can try to Google and you can try to find some little clusters, the same thing like they have in China, they have in other countries. If you want to go and you want to produce sanitary products in China, this will be north, even north of Beijing, right? If you want to produce shoes in China, you go to the city of Guangzhou. This is in the south, it's not so far from Guangzhou. Every other country, they also have clusters. So, you know, as simple as that, you can Google, but not by the product, but Google by the material. So the biggest mistake that what people are doing actually is when they're trying to find a manufacturer, they're trying in other countries other than China, they're searching by the product. You need to understand that in other countries, people might be producing that product, but it's not necessary that they already placed the information online for you to find. Most of the countries, they have difficulties of actually combining a few materials together. I give you an example. We had a customer, she originally comes from Germany. She lived in Singapore. Her husband's family actually owns a factory in Germany. And this factory makes lamps, right? Like a lamp you put on the table when you read a book or watch, I don't know, something. So she came to us and she's like, I need to do sourcing for lamps. And she tells me the story that her husband's family owns this factory. I'm like, I'm confused. You already have a factory. Why can't they do anything for you? The answer was very simple. And these are Germans, right? My lamp does not have a normal light bulb. I want my lamp to have an LED strip inside of it, and they don't know how to work with those two materials together, and they're not willing to learn, right? So European factories, especially in the developed European part of the world, part of Europe, they are a little bit fat. If we're taking countries like Bulgaria, like Serbia, maybe even Croatia, Romania, people there are hungry because the countries are developing and people want to make as much money as possible. Whereas when you go to Germany or Italy or Austria, people make a lot more money. Factory owners have BMWs, like the two latest BMWs in their garage, and they have one house in Spain, one in, I don't know, somewhere else. They're happy. They're like 55 plus year old, white man. It's like, this is the profile that we're facing of the manufacturers in the developed part of Europe. And they're not very hungry. When you have countries that are developing, like Serbia, for example, or you have younger generation in their mid-30s who are taking over the manufacturing, you have a lot more opportunities of communicating with them. So yeah, you have clusters and you can go on sourcing trips. For example, if you want to source knives, right, in Europe, there's this one city of Zoln where all of the knife manufacturing is done. If you would like to source wonderful tea, you can go to certain places in Bulgaria, for example, etc., etc. So you have, or wood, right? Wood. Everybody thinks, oh, wood. Going to Germany will be expensive, or Czech Republic, or Poland. Tons of opportunities. Huge, huge industry, but nobody wants to go there because everybody is afraid, oh, it's going to be too expensive. But again, remember, the more machinery they use, the cheaper the price will be. And if you are having economies of scale, you have the opportunity to actually get the price down. So again, sourcing trips, whether you do this on your own and you grab your husband or you grab your wife and children, and whilst they're sitting in a hotel, you're kind of going and exploring the local premises, and you can hire a local person to actually take you through and translate for you. Or you go on proper sourcing trips that usually take, I don't know, 7 days to 10 days to different countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, China. In either way, this can be extremely advantageous. And it's not only about finding manufacturers, it's also about learning about the local cultures and understanding how they work, whether it is China or Mexico or Turkey. I give you an example. Turkish manufacturers, they tend to overstate some things. We had a customer who sells on Amazon Germany. His sales used to be about 120,000 euros per month, but during the Corona time, they went up to about 1.2 million euros per month, right? Because he was selling certain products that were popular during Corona. He was manufacturing in Turkey, and we were doing the sourcing and we were doing the quality control. Every time we showed up at the factory, even though we confirmed beforehand for quality control, has all the production been finished? Every boxes, have they been packed? Each and every master carton. The Turkish say, yes. We get there, no. And that was absolutely normal. So they keep, and we say, guys, we're not doing quality control. The loading's supposed to start in 3 hours. You told us everything ready, nothing is ready. So we refuse to do quality control. They scream, they kick us out from the factory. So, you know, we need to call the customer, so they let us back into the factory, etc., etc. You need to be very careful, and this is why I'm talking about cultural differences. So sourcing trips can be really, really great. And if you can combine this in visiting the trade shows in person, that will be amazing, because again, you can see so many things. I personally love going to Canton Fair, not specifically to search for manufacturers, but for inspiration. I see so many things in so many different countries that sometimes you're like, okay, this is basic, but oh my God, right? It's just inspiration as well. You can make a very good use of different types of social media. If any of you have ever visited any trade show, any Amazon event or anything, you know we're all running around with our phones and selfie this and videos that and everything, right? And we post. For exhibitors, for manufacturers, this is their additional exposure. So you can search on different social media platforms as well. Just putting the basic things like going on YouTube or going on Instagram, wood manufacturer Mexico, or manufacturer wooden products Mexico. If the manufacturers have been at a certain trade show, most likely they posted something, and you can't imagine how many manufacturers we actually found through that way. Local connections, great. Don't forget to use Google. Again, don't search by product. Don't search by product, right? If the product is a notebook that is just made out of paper, that's one thing. You can try to search by product. If you can't find it by specifically product or product category, you need to search by material. The first thing you need to do is find out which country is dominant in producing that particular material. So paper is pulp manufacturing, right? Paper is made out of different types of pulp, etc., etc. The top industries for manufacturing of pulp or paper in the world are United States of America, India, China, Malaysia, Russia, and a few other countries. So if you're actually going to Google, you can Google as top manufacturers of paper in the world, or another way you can do this is actually type in top exporters of paper in the world, and you will have Statista popping up and tons of other things as well. So this is a way to narrow down the country. And once you narrow down the country, I suggest to use whether DeepL or Google Translate to do the search, again, on Google or on other local platforms in a local language. If you don't speak the local language, use the translation services. It helps extremely well. One of the things to definitely consider is the way to contact the manufacturers. If you're trying to talk to manufacturers in China, you know WeChat is the preferred method of communication. They also use WhatsApp and a few other things, but WeChat is top. If you know what QQ is, they also use QQ, but that's very, very local. And different countries have different ways of communicating. And if you know that method, you're more likely to get a response from the manufacturer. when we're doing sourcing, let's say in Turkey, one of the best ways to contact them is WhatsApp, because pretty much every number is connected to WhatsApp and they will respond extremely fast to you. The same goes for India, for Pakistan, for Bangladesh, Malaysia, Indonesia. Vietnam, most likely WeChat is also as a preference because close ties to China. If we're looking at Europe, one of the best ways to actually get a response from the manufacturer, the fastest way, is the first thing, you send an email, and maybe 10-15 minutes after you send an email, call them, right? Call them and say, hey guys, I'm this and that. I sent you an email. I have an inquiry. They're going to say, oh, I didn't receive anything. Could you please take a look at your email right now and see if it came? Oh, yes, it's here. Then let's discuss this right now. We have checked. We have been doing actually quite a lot of testing with this. So if you just sent an email and you will be expecting a response versus you sending an email and directly calling, the difference in when you will receive your price is about 1 week. So if you send an email and directly call, this is European manufacturers, right? Send an email and directly call, you most likely will get your price within a day or two, if they will produce this product. If you're just sending an email and you're waiting for them to respond, on average, and then you will call them, right? After sending an email, you will call in 3 days or something like this because they didn't respond. Your average time in receiving the price will be around 1 week. And this is not something that you want to waste. If you would like to contact the manufacturers in the United States of America, one of the best ways people always tell me is, when I ask them that question, is to call. That is not necessarily true. Yes, you can, but most of the time, everybody's so busy that nobody ever has time to actually answer the phone. And even if you leave a voice message, God knows when they will get back to you. So in US, Canada, as well, one of the extremely good ways of doing this is actually fill in a contact form on the website. If the website is up to date, this is, in comparison to an email somehow, is monitored a lot more than the email itself. Again, this is something that we found by working with thousands. Like last year, we had over 1,000 different projects. That doesn't mean we had over 1,000 different customers, but that means because we had some customers who had 100 projects. But we get in touch with factories from across the globe, right? Currently, our database is more than 50,000 manufacturers. So here, when I mentioned that you can source products by material, here are some actual materials and the countries where you can source those materials from. So if you have products that are made out of those materials, this can be something very useful for you. This is not all of them. This is not the whole world. The lists can be a lot longer and have a lot more information. But again, a different type of wood is available all across the globe. Textiles, very widespread, metal, plastic. A lot of you guys sell different types of plastic products. A great option for you can be, if you're trying to escape China, in this case, a great option for you would be whether India or Turkey. They have relatively low costs for molds if your product requires a mold. Unfortunately, Mexico is still not on that level where they can offer good prices for the molds. They're still quite expensive. They have very old, I've been to quite a few factories in Mexico where they, supposedly high tech and things like this. They have old machinery from Germany that Germans sold like 10 years ago, and they're not so qualified. So plastic products, I still would suggest Turkey. I give you an example, and even if you need to do the basic samples or prototypes out of plastic and some textile material, Turkey can be really great. We are currently producing 3D prototypes for certain products, and we're paying like I think $100 or $70 per prototype, which, like, you know, 3D, and it's a big thing, which is dirt cheap, when in China they try to charge us like 3 times the price. So yeah, I'll see if there are any questions. Yes, Balkan labor is cheaper, Serbia is cheaper. All of those countries are also moving towards being part of the EU. So after that, the prices will go up. But currently, if you're looking at the like the Balkans, this is the cheapest labor. Ukraine is producing, for example, also a lot of products. I understand there is war going on. I definitely would not suggest to go to Russia, even though it produces tons of products, and I'm Russian, but I'm not supporting. So, but Ukraine has a lot of wood, textile, plastic, jewelry, and other production as well. So this can definitely be considered. There are services that charge to find specific products. There are tons of different companies who do product hunting, and there are tons of different companies who do sourcing. There are different sourcing ages, etc., etc. So yeah. Yes, worker productivity is a significant challenge. Absolutely correct. You should actually come to some of the EU locations for our products. So we have a jar. The jar needs to be put in a box, and the sticker needs to be placed on the box. So our manufacturer in Germany told us, all right, this will be the price for this, for that, da. And we try to calculate, right? So we're at home. We have kind of like a production line laid out in front of us, and we're trying to calculate how much time will everything take to do step by step by step. And we're like, okay, here, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you get into the rhythm. When our manufacturer told us how much it actually takes for them, we calculated their rate, the workers' rate, the ones who put stickers on. We calculated their rate to be $240 per hour, which is insane, but and not realistic, but yeah. That is correct. Many factories, if you actually go to a lot of German, Italian, Austrian factories, most of the workers will be immigrants from the Balkan countries, from Russia, from Ukraine, and some other countries. They're usually, the normal payment at the factory is starting from actually around 12 euros an hour. This is the minimum wage, even at the German or Italian factories. Yeah, Montenegro has wonderful. We have actually, I think, 3 ladies in our company. They're actually from Montenegro. Wonderful country to visit. Unfortunately, there's not so much production in Montenegro itself, but actually around. Arnav, what do you mean by PP? PP sheets. Sorry, I'm not understanding.
Polypropylene.
Okay, so okay, are we talking aqua, or are we talking normal kind of plastic?
Just normal plastic.
Normal plastic, you can also go to Turkey for this. Actually, for this, depending on the sheets that you're looking, you can even by now go to Mexico. And actually to US as well. US is on the rise for producing a lot of different basic plastic products. So this you can actually do if you're selling in US. I would suggest you to look at Mexico and at US directly. If you have decent quantities, I wouldn't even bother going to China. If you don't have an option there, then Turkey is definitely an amazing option for you. Turkey and Bulgaria as well. Again, the prices are cheaper, products are light, fast to ship, foam products, also Turkey. And again, cheap.
Thank you.
No problem. Wooden toys and other wood products from India are wonderful. I love them. Indian manufacturers are very interesting to work with because you need to be, I assume you guys are working with manufacturers in China. And when I work with manufacturers in China or manufacturers in any other country in the world, I need to become a helicopter parent. You need to hover over the manufacturers all the time to make sure that what they actually said is actually what they meant. So, Dylan, yes, India for wooden toys manufacturing is a wonderful place. And another place you can check out is Poland. Poland for toys, wooden, wonderful. The certification that is required in order to sell the toys is not so strict yet. India has many different types of wood, from acacia and to other types of wood that they're actually importing into the country, even though they have their own. So yes, I would definitely consider this as a country. You can go to India Mart. India Mart is kind of a resource that is similar to Alibaba. You need to be careful. There are a lot of scammers in there. But India in general, the option that I set where you're searching for a manufacturer at a trade show, this is like there is a New Delhi Expo. I think it's called New Delhi Expo. You can Google this. Tons of wood manufacturers will be in there. So this can be a good option for you. Poland, the same thing. And please also visit for a great list of manufacturers. Nuremberg, that's a city in Germany, Nuremberg Toy Expo. Again, this is the biggest toy expo in the world. You will have tons of potential manufacturers for you there. Cost from Karen, I don't want to talk about Signify because I want to try to, you can ask me later. I don't want to waste the precious time of 3 hours that we have on us, trying to give you as much information as possible. Cost shipping from Turkey to US is reasonable to compare. And in China, yes, we are shipping actually tons of goods from Turkey to US, and the costs are better for whether you are shipping an LCL or you are shipping an FTL. We found it definitely better. So there are a few ways. Usually they're actually shipping by sea, but some actually prefer to do trucking to, for example, Rotterdam or to the north of Germany and then ship from there. So normally, currently, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for the goods to arrive when we're shipping them from Turkey. Large 3D printed prototypes. Yeah, Australia, I can imagine they're extremely expensive. Turkey, wonderful place. Malaysia, Indonesia. Depending on the type of prototypes. But again, I'm telling you right now, we're doing tons of prototypes in Turkey simply because it's cheaper than China, right? So I would, if you want, I can give you reach a contact for the 3D person that prototype thingy that we're using in Turkey. I can give you two and you can talk to them yourself. Standard water bottle. Nothing is standard in this world. Depends. So if you're prototyping a water bottle, it depends on, how many different parts it have. Again, it can be from $100 to thousands of dollars. We had a customer who had a Kickstarter campaign, which he launched successfully. When he was doing an original prototype, we spent on that one about $1,000. And then when he went into mass production, he needed to spend another $1,000 on actually making the mold, right? Then we had another customer where the prototype was $100 only, another 150. We need to see the actual product in order to give you a little bit more information. Exactly. Mike Shevtsov says Ukraine can still manufacture good and expensive wood products. Absolutely, 100%. I support this. There are tons of wonderful manufacturers. We have a lot of products here in Germany that are coming from Ukraine. Ukraine has their own wood, right? For example, if you're manufacturing products, wooden products in China, the wood comes from two places. It comes whether from Russia or it comes from Canada. Chinese don't like to use their own wood. You can actually ask your manufacturers where the wood is coming from. So where do they get raw materials? For example, for us in Germany and in Europe in general, we don't want to take the products that are made out of wood that comes from Russia. Ukraine, they have their own wood. So, and plus you will help the local economy a lot for sure. And you can also produce in Canada, right? Depending on the products. India, they also have their own wood. Montenegro beer, vodka. Yes, correct. Product for people. Yes, that's very true. That's very true. Again, I stopped drinking alcohol. But yes, if you want to drink, go to the Balkans. A lot of good, cheap alcohol in there. Yes, I can I can give the 3D contact human manufacturers to Marlene, for example, and she can provide the information to you guys. All right, Brandon, do we actually still have time? Because I'm not even halfway through the presentation. Or Marlene, or if anybody is listening.
So the main thing is just whether you have time, but the value you're driving is crazy.
Okay.
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, the reason.
How much are you going to pay me?
So people pay for an education one way or another. When you make mistakes, it's not a mistake, it's an education, right? You're supposed to learn from it. So if you choose to source and do things on your own and reach out to factories, that's time. So you pay for education with time, like you're paying with your time. Now, when you don't know what you don't know and you make a mistake,
you don't know.
yeah, it ends up costing you money that way too. So bringing an expert in like you and with all of your knowledge for 14 15 years of doing this.
19.
Sorry.
I'm older than I look.
Yeah, you started when you were 6, okay? So the point is that if anyone's on the call, I know you didn't want to promote yourself, but they should reach out to you. The level of knowledge that you have, the direction you can give them, and you're not going to charge them just for some friendly advice either. You guys are so giving with an abundance mentality that it's something that I've always noticed and appreciated. So highly recommend that anyone on the call reaches out to you to ask questions, because you're going to give, and hopefully you can help them in some other way on a professional level, in some way as well. But I know that people are here and willing to stay on the call, and the replay will be available. So as long as you want to go and continue to get through the slides, the more value you drive, it's appreciated. So thank you.
Yeah, we can go through the slide. You will give the slides to the people so they can go through them themselves. But there are a few points that I still definitely want to mention. First of all, the concept of goal giving for all of you guys will change your business. The book is called The Goal Giver. It's written by a guy named Bob Burke. The Goal Giver, really good, small book, change your life. All right. So, working with the manufacturers is not always extremely easy, and there are tons of things that you can actually do in order to make your life easier. I think what Brandon said is absolutely correct in regards to you pay for some things, etc., etc. I usually say it in a little bit of a different way. There is always a trade-off. If you're doing something yourself right now, if you're doing a thing A, then you're not doing a thing B, right? I think it's always important to learn and to understand the basics. If you want to become an expert in something, this is your choice. My husband has a problem. He wants to be an expert in everything. I am more pragmatic. I want to hire people who are already experts and learn from them and understand the basic things and then become smarter than them. Doesn't always work, but oh, sorry. Raising hand.
We have
Zeus, did you have a question?
Yeah. No, sorry, folks. I wasn't going to raise a question. I was just going to share exactly what Brandon said, which is that not only is Julia an expert on this, but she's had her own seven-figure exit. I won't go into the detail because she was competing against a client of mine in the past. So it's not good, not important for the call for going into the details of it. But she was sourcing beauty products and other things. So she's got really deep expertise. She's not just talking the talk, if you like. She's got really, really good knowledge, experts, and obviously has done all of the Amazon stuff as well. So I hope that kind of provides another level of context in terms of what's going on overall. And it's not just like a sourcing case study. Her website, signify.net, I posted in the chat, just for anybody who's not clear on that website. They do free 15-minute calls. I've spoken with her and Sebastian, who's an amazing guy. Like she said, he's just so chilled, it's ridiculous. I spoke with him at Evo Latam. I was there as well. So we kind of all bumped into each other there alongside your good self. And so, yeah, like I said, I'm not here to promote her services, and obviously that's not the purpose of the call. It's very much about a matter of delivering value. I'm saying outside of this call, if you want to connect with her and obviously go through some of these processes, that's how you would be able to implement this and obviously make it work in your business. Hopefully that's helpful. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, I became an Amazon seller by, by approximation. My husband actually started dating me. And this is a true story. He started dating me not because he wanted to date me, but because he thought we can do good business together. And we actually only started doing like proper business together maybe 4 or 5 years after we were together. So, but that is actually a true story. You can ask him, he'll tell you that's the truth. All right, so manufacturers in different countries. One of the things you guys need to know and please understand, and I don't mean to be rude or mean or anything, but every time I talk to people and I ask them, hey, how many manufacturers are you actually, the person comes to me and cries, oh my God, I've emailed them, they're not answering, what is going on? This is so hard. I'm like, okay, how many manufacturers did you get in touch? 5. Okay. So how many times did you contact them? Emails, calls, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Instagram. I've sent 1 email, right? Guys, this is where your problems actually start coming in. Now that we kind of know how to find manufacturers in different countries, we actually need to reach out to a good number of them. So no, reaching out to 2 to 3 manufacturers and getting to 2 to 3 proposals is not absolutely useless, but it's not worth your time. Your time is worth more, and you should do more. So I will tell you what we actually do. So when we do sourcing for China, we get in touch on average with 30 potential manufacturers. And when we're going to do sourcing in the rest of the world, we try to get in touch with 60 potential manufacturers. The difference is huge for a very simple reason. In China, it's easy to find manufacturers for your products, right? Relatively easy, even if you're doing OEM, ODM, you have a patented product, whatever. Out of 30 manufacturers, 30 will probably respond to you and 20 will give you prices. When you're doing sourcing outside of China, out of 60 manufacturers that you think can do your product, you can't confirm this until you actually talk to them, because the last time they've updated their website might have been in 1999. So that number of 60 manufacturers that you contacted can easily go down to 30 who will actually say, oh yeah, we can potentially do the products. And you might only get 5 to 10 prices, depending on the requirements for your products. So this number that we have, 30 in China, 60 outside, it sounds like a lot, but this is the number we worked out over the years and thousands of manufacturers that we contacted. And this works very well of giving you kind of an average of what is actually realistic in the industry. Manufacturing or trading company, a lot of people are saying that trading companies are bad. And I disagree with this. The same way I disagree that finding a manufacturer on Alibaba is bad. Anything can be bad if you actually found a bad person to work with or a bad company to work with. Everything can be repurposed and used in a way that is good for you. I always give an example of any of you going to, I don't know, can you buy hammers, right? A hammer. You go to Walmart to buy a hammer. And if you're going to pay $1 for that hammer, I'm sorry, what kind of price are you actually expecting for it? Or sorry, what kind of quality? Not very good, right? So the same goes with the manufacturers and trading companies. They can all be used for their own purposes. When you are a new seller, or when you are a seller who is trying to launch a new product and you're kind of doing A/B testing and you don't want to make a lot of customization in the beginning, a trading company can be a very wonderful opportunity for you. And you can even find a trading company who is selling the product that you need at a cheaper price than the manufacturer. Because a trading company might have stock that maybe they can't get rid of, but they want to, right? So both can be used for your own purposes. Trading companies are not necessarily bad. Please take some time to do some background checks, and you don't need to be a huge expert to actually do this. There are tons of free resources across the globe from many different countries of checking if the manufacturer is actually legit. Request their export license, request their business registration. I don't care if the manufacturer is located in China, in Timbuktu, or in Canada. You can request the basic information and you can see if certification is valid. You can Google or use some other resources in order to see if the company is actually registered, if there are any bad reviews about it or anything. Bad web page equals bad company. That is not necessarily true. And it especially goes in such way for Europe and for US. Again, developed countries. Developed countries, they have so much work to do, or so they say, that you literally look at some of them and their websites haven't been updated since the 90s. A perfect example is we work with the second largest manufacturer of toys in Germany. They produce toys for Disney, for tons of different customers. Their products are sold in each and every retail store in Germany, in DACH region, and pretty much in Europe. If you will look at their webpage, you will never consider working with them. It is so horrid. It is so outdated. And even the phone numbers that they have on the webpage, they're no good. They're not workable. They're absolutely not there. We met this company, this manufacturer, by chance at one of the trade shows because they hired a new guy who said, oh, let's go out and get some new customers. Right? And he started like an Instagram channel, and then we met at the trade show. But even to this moment, the manufacturer, the founder of the company, who has this company for like 40 years right now, he's like, no, we don't need to update the website. It's okay. Catalogs, no need. All good. I have enough money. He doesn't need. So bad web page does not always necessarily mean a bad company. And this is why you actually need to call and see, hey guys, what products do you sell? Do you have any updated catalogs that I can see? I'm looking for this and that. If the company that you called does not necessarily produce the products that you want to do, you can always ask them, and it's not going to cost you anything. If you don't produce this, do you know anybody who does? Can you give me a suggestion, a name of the company? And you will be surprised. In 90% of cases, at least for us, they give us a suggestion of their neighbor from across the street who will actually do a product for you. One of the things when you're talking to manufacturers, potential manufacturers, is definitely to consider their flexibility and communication. A lot of people, they come in, let's put it this way, kind of on a high horse, like, I'm this big seller and, I'm so great, I'm so wonderful, you need to do everything for me, and where is my red carpet, right? First of all, no. And second of all, you need to use that. If you have any of this, you need to use that a little bit for your own advantage, but not in order to be high and mighty, but in order to see how flexible the manufacturer is. For me, working with any manufacturer is like being married or being in a relationship. Sometimes you need to admit that you are wrong and you need to go for a compromise. Of course, women are never wrong. We're always right. So, but that's a different story. But with the manufacturers, sometimes you need to go for a compromise. You can't always win. You need to have a good leveled partnership if you want to develop with them for a long time and grow together. I give you a wonderful example. I know a company, a German brand, they sold for before they sold, they were making about 28 or 30 million euros per year in revenue just selling in Germany. When they started their manufacturing in Germany, they started working with this tiny little factory. And over the years, they grew together. The brand grew and the factory grew. They started actually constructing the next building and production line just to accommodate them, which is awesome. But at the same time, they also started finding other customers. So they grew together. And this is something that you can do with your manufacturers as well. So flexibility and communication comes also from the point of how much you can push the manufacturer in terms of negotiations for your price. Push them a little bit, saying, oh, come on, I need this lower, and see what the responses are. My suggestion is, if you have found this one right manufacturer for yourself, you have the price. The price can always be better, right? But you have the quality and everything is pretty good. But maybe you want to have the last push of this negotiation. My suggestion is always try to get introduced. If it's in China, it's the Laoban, right? The big boss. If it's in any other country, it's the big boss, the chef, I don't know, whatever, in any other language. So try to have a direct call with the boss and introduce yourself and tell this boss your plans for your business. I have this later in my slides if we're still going to make it. So again, products, webpage versus offers that are actually possible. Not everything is on the webpage, and you need to remember this. You can find the basic information about the company. For example, you're looking to produce wooden furniture. They produce wood. Give them a call. Find out what products they actually produce. Does it work? Yeah. Wait. All right. Means of contact. I already mentioned this. When working with the sourcing agent or sourcing company, many different countries, the sourcing agents, they work on a commission base and they don't allow you to be directly in touch with your manufacturer. I don't condone this. I think this is the wrong thing to do. As an Amazon seller myself, I understand how little control we actually have and that we kind of all work for Amazon. So if you have an opportunity of taking your control back and working directly with manufacturers.
It's going to be
Sorry? Sorry, Loy, you said something?
No, I think he unmuted on accident. It's back.
Okay. So yes, if you have an opportunity to work with your manufacturers directly, look, it doesn't matter. Your sourcing agent might be working on commission, and maybe that's, how they want to work, but it doesn't mean that they will not allow you to also have contact with the manufacturer. I understand the sourcing agent, they want to make their money, etc., etc. But you can try and negotiate with them somehow. So if you are not finding the manufacturer yourself, that you will have direct contact with the manufacturer and you will still use the sourcing person if that is necessary. I personally don't like to work on commission for sourcing. I think commission should be only paid in sales rather than sourcing, but everybody works in different ways, right? So offers versus the reality. When you're talking to the manufacturers, the more vague you are, the less likely they're to work with you and the less likely they are to offer you what you actually require. So I have a lot of people who come to me and they come with I still have decorations from Chinese New Year on my table, the full the good luck charm, but they come with you with a piece of paper with the drawing on it, and they say, can you do this? Can you give me a price? I'm like, I can give you a price, but you need to give me a tech drawing, the quantity, So we're educating our customers on the information that they need to provide to us in order for the manufacturers to consider them a serious customer. If you're coming with questions of extremely vague and undirectional questions, the manufacturers are not likely to work with you. Just imagine yourself, if you are a manufacturer and someone comes to you and says, okay, I want to produce a pen or a cup. Can you give me a price? You're going to say, dude, come on. Can you, first of all, get yourself together, put a list for yourself. When you have exact specifications and exact questions, then come back to me. So this is no different than when you are going to manufacture. So the more specifics you have, the more likely they are to work with you, and the more likely they are to take you serious. So again, don't marry a stranger, long-term relationship, MOQs, payment terms. You probably guys all know this, right? Usually in the beginning, and this does not only go for China, it goes for many countries, for many other countries as well, 30-70, but outside of China, on a lot of occasions, even on the first order, you can already get a deferred payment. So a lot of manufacturers in Europe, you can negotiate even on the first order that you pay after the order is manufactured. So let's say you've placed an order, they've manufactured it, you came to do quality control, everything okay, and then you pay full 100%. Which is actually pretty cool. I mean, you have all the signed contracts and everything, and if you're not going to pay, they're gonna hunt you down. But you know, you have this 15, 20, 30 days when you don't need to pay the money, which is awesome. I've mentioned this, so extremely important, and this will definitely help you in your further negotiations with the manufacturer, because this is, you're going on a date, right? You're going on a date, you're telling about yourself. When we're starting to work with new customers, we always ask them as many questions as possible about the business. And we always ask them, is this okay for us to share this information with the manufacturer? Because if we do, we're more likely to get better prices negotiated for you. When you're doing this on your own, you actually need to talk to them and explain what is your business. The Chinese manufacturers might actually know what Amazon business is, but not all of them. If you're going to start sourcing on 1688, for example, a lot of them are not going to know much about Amazon US and how to sell on Amazon, and they don't sell on Amazon. If you're going to European manufacturers, yeah, their knowledge about Amazon is next to zero. For most of them, US is a little bit of a different story. When we started working with our manufacturer in Germany, we drove, it was only about 2 hours away from our home. We drove to him and we had the conversation. So we explained, here is our product. We would like to sell it on Amazon, on our Shopify store, and also in retail in Germany. We took some screenshots with different, like with Helium-10 and different other programs that showed who is the competition, how much they're making, right? So we showed the possibilities. What is the market like in Germany right now to our manufacturer? He went, oh my God, this is so much money. This is so great. This is wonderful. Then we started explaining to him how Amazon works, what do they charge, and you know, his face went from holy crap, I'm gonna make a lot of money to guys, are you sure you want to do this? You know, your margins are gonna be kind of tight. We explained absolutely everything to him, how much we're gonna be making, how much is gonna go into ads, etc., etc. And based on this, we were able to negotiate better prices for ourselves. He was able to offer us better formulas and adjust a few things for us to keep our costs down. Manufacturers of course, they want to make money. Of course, they, want you to pay and place orders more and more and more. But what they want even more is an understanding on where your business are going and how is it going to affect them. So what are they getting from you additionally to you placing this first order? So this is why we explained the business plan on how are we going to expand, what other products we want to launch, right? Even though the plan was not set in stone, we had some basic things. You don't need to spend like 2, 3, 5 days, weeks on doing a proper business plan. You can just write down some basic things for yourself and share your goals with the manufacturer. It doesn't, if it's not in a beautiful presentation, it's not making it a business plan. So this is extremely important, and this is the part that helps you with negotiating and getting the prices down and building that partnership and relationship with the manufacturer. Again, it doesn't matter where they're located. The questions that I suggest that you need to ask the factories are very basic, but people forget of doing that. So how old is the factory? What are the factory capacities? How many production line you have? How many people do you have? Who is managing the factory? The big problem in US and in Europe, for example, is that the person who is managing the factory, the founder, is also the salesperson. It's very hard for these men to actually outsource their jobs because they don't trust anyone and they think nobody can do this job better than them. So these guys, he's making, I don't know, his factory is making 150 million in manufacturing per year, and he still talks to each and every single customer on his own. This is what our manufacturer, right? This guy, he's talking to each and every single customer that he has because he doesn't trust people. You also need to ask what are the future plans of the company. Are they planning on new machinery, new developments, into what niches, etc., etc. Because this will also help you plan a little bit more. Let me look if there are any questions. 1999 was a great year for websites. Absolutely. I'm very happy that the year 2000 didn't reset anything. Yes, it's a great book, The Go-Giver. They actually have a second part. Women are never wrong. That is very true. How to speak with the boss. Very, very easy. It's as simple as that. You say, hey guys, we've already ordered a sample. We're preparing to place an order for mass production. I would like to introduce myself to the founder, to the big boss, because I want to make sure that he understands the business that we're getting in and explain them a little bit more about us. I guarantee you, we've never had a problem where the boss needed persuasion in order to speak to us. They're like, oh, you want to talk to the boss? You want to tell us a little bit more about yourself? They usually jump on the opportunity because you're not talking face to face. Maybe you're talking on Zoom, but it definitely gives a lot more trust to the people. So yeah, it doesn't matter which country. You just say, hey guys, I feel that we can build a good relationship, and in order for us to do that, I feel that maybe it's a little bit, it will be great to actually speak to the factory boss, right? Why you explain your margin? Because the factory, let's say you're buying a product for $5 and you're selling it for $40. The manufacturer will think, holy crap, you're making so much money. The manufacturer doesn't know the storage costs, the Amazon fees, the advertising costs, how much you need to invest in A+ content and this and that and that. So when we actually explained our margins to the manufacturer, he said, all right, maybe we should better go with this formula for your product or with that. So because if you don't explain your margin and your manufacturer sees how much you're actually selling your product for, he's going to think, oh, he's making crap load of money. But they don't actually understand how much you're making. So when you explain the margins, they will be a lot more realistic about your product and they will be willing to negotiate more. Got this factory owned by a friend that makes his force, he still does. Exactly, right? And this is a big thing. Car visor, we're gonna car mirror vanity car visor organizer. I'm not sure how they look like. I don't use vanity mirrors. Mirrors in general, you have mirrors that kind of are based on the plastic basics and completely made out of glass. You have many different countries that are producing them, but Saria, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, if not, I'm sorry. If you can drop the links and I can see them, I can give you a better suggestion on which country is the best for sourcing those products. I need a visual to understand what parts it actually has. All right. All right, so these are the basic things that I kind of already went through, but just to repeat, contact 30 or 60 manufacturers, use social media. On average, to get one price outside of China, it takes about 3 emails and 4 phone calls. Sometimes you will get the price after contacting the factory once, but the averages are kind of this. Don't contact aimlessly, I've mentioned, freelancers, etc., etc. Please don't skip on the samples and please don't skip on the quality control for mass production. The unfortunate example that I'm giving is actually from a friend of ours. He was doing sourcing on his own. He received the sample. It was great. He did mass production. He did not do quality control for mass production, and he shipped all the products to Germany. His total value of the invoice was a little bit over 100,000 euros, which is maybe about $110,000. When he received the products were complete and absolute crap. He couldn't get anything back from the Chinese manufacturers because he worked with them directly because the sample was so great. So not only he lost over 100K, but in Germany, because the product was of a certain, because it was a certain product, he needed to get rid of that product in a very specific way in Germany. So in addition to losing over 100K, he needed to pay another 15 or 20,000 to get rid of the products properly. So he lost completely everything because he saved like $300 on mass production quality control. One of the things to mention is definitely what I like is the undercover hack, we call it. In the beginning, if you have any team members, if you have any employees, it would be great that for them to contact the manufacturers and to make sure to tell the account manager on the other side that they are not the boss, right? Because if you come and you start talking to the manufacturers in the beginning and you're saying, oh, I'm not the decision maker, later on you bring the decision maker and it really helps because the boss is talking to the boss and the final decisions are made. So this is kind of a cool thing. Also, the undercover hack works in a little bit of a different way. Is if you like to be a drama queen a little bit, or if you have any ladies or guys in your organization who can be a little bit of a drama queen, they can make a personal connection with the account manager from the factory, and they can use this to their advantage. I usually kind of turn on the waterworks and say, you know, my boss, I'm really afraid my boss is going to fire me because, you know, I'm trying to get the best price with you guys, but but you're not going down on the price anymore. And is there anything you can do to help me? I'm afraid I'm going to get fired and I have bills to pay. Is there any way that you can help me? It's a little bit kind of tricky, you kind of tricking a little bit the other side, but I don't count this completely unfair. It's just a negotiation tactics that works well for us. So you use an employee who likes to be theatrical, to kind of pretend on a situation like this. There is a human sitting on the other side, and that human might positively reciprocate to the cries for help from another human. Again, it's always important to make sure that somehow this human or this factory will be paid back later on in some other way. You're bringing in more orders, or better terms and conditions for both of you. This is something for you guys to take a screenshot or a photo or whatever way you can save this information. So if we're looking at LATAM region, these are some of the products that you can actually produce there, and you can see it's a lot. It's a lot of different things, from your basic everyday consumer goods to freaking alpaca wool, right? So it's insane. Many different products in many different countries. So that's slide one. Then here are some items. Again, this can be, there can be subtasks in there, like many subtasks. These are some of the products and categories of products that can be produced in Europe and US. Especially if you're working with pets products, like supplements, if you work with cosmetic, if you work with health products, if you look with anything hygiene, even, I don't know, laundry sheets or a whitener, a brightener for your clothing. This is like Germany, Sweden. Right now, we're transferring all of our customers from China because the US has like high taxes on this. Art supplies, chemicals for home and garden, right? Wonderful. Europe, in US as well. Packaging, specifically in Europe, this is paper packaging. USA, even though the United States is one of the largest manufacturers of pulp products in the world, they don't produce too much packaging for their own good. Most of the packaging to US actually still comes from whether China or Pakistan. But packaging in terms of paper, and in terms of, paper is Europe, glass is Europe, and packaging in terms of glass containers is USA. These are some of the, this is some of the savings that we helped achieve. And this is where your direct and honest communication and honest work with your manufacturer comes to be. One of our customers producing the garlic press, of course, that was not the product, but let's take this as an example. His all blended cost was $5. He thought China is the cheapest country in the world. He got transferred from manufacturing to a different country. So currently the product comes from India, and his landed cost is $4. Right? His annual quantity in 2023 was 500,000 pieces that he sold. And this guy was not even selling, most of the time, he was not even selling on Amazon before. He was selling his product on a Shopify store for $38, when the same product on Amazon was being sold for $14. Now he also sells that same product on Amazon. He still sells it for $34 or for $38, whilst his competition is still sells it for $14. This year, his quantity will be a lot higher than 500,000 pieces. Okay, I think that's it. If you have any questions, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Yulia Blinova, or Yuli, my Chinese character's name. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you need any help, we can help. Yeah, I'll go. There is a lot more information that can be added in there. There's like a whole 10 hours we can do on just doing like step-by-step sourcing from China, including 1688, etc., etc. And the same thing goes for outside of China. Okay, let me open this if I can. Mirror plastic on the side. So this particular product, I would suggest to look, if you're looking outside of China, I would suggest to look at Vietnam, India, and Turkey. Okay, this one, because of the material, zipper, metal, most of the zippers that you will see in the world of a good quality, the best quality zipper in the world is considered to be a YKK. It's a brand that's actually, a Chinese brand, but there are many other good zippers across the globe. So this product can actually be produced in many different countries. Your problem here might be if you've been purchasing this product before and you were doing private label, the only way you will be able to produce this product in another country is to do a tech pack. So if you have this product, you can send it to a person who can create a tech pack for you for 100 or 200 bucks. Then with this tech pack, for this particular product, you have tons of different countries. You can actually even do this product in Mexico, but I would most likely go for India or for Turkey. These types of the mesh, the stretchy rubber and things like this. Turkey, because they also do a lot of goods that are used for camping. Okay. Polyester fleece, 100%. The only other country that I know that actually can produces the raw material itself would be Vietnam. You can also produce polyester fleece products in Mexico, but Mexico unfortunately doesn't produce the kind of the raw material, the polyester fleece itself. So I would suggest Vietnam and also look at Turkey. Turkey produces a lot of polyester fleece right now as well.
So I had a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever helped anyone move essentially their manufacturing to maybe Mexico or nearshore it, but most of the materials still come from China or other countries? It's just kind of assembled in Mexico above a certain percentage.
I know where you're going. That's not working anymore.
It's not working anymore. What percentage needs to be put together or manufactured in order to get around the tariffs?
100%.
That's the new rule. Is that a new rule?
That is the new rule, that 100%, which is, I'm sorry, there is no other way to call it, but this complete freaking bullshit.
It is.
Like,
it is. That is some grade A bullshit.
You have tons of parts that will still come from other countries. Currently, we haven't seen it enforced so much, but look, we had tons of customers who were trying to sell the business, right? And they were trying to move their manufacturing away from China to, let's say, Mexico for the final assembly so they can have higher margins. We tried to do this. Unfortunately for them, about 80% of the materials were coming from China, and they were looked upon very negatively. When we did a similar thing and 80% of material came from from Turkey, 20% of material came from China, it worked. So with that, and it was assembled in Mexico. So we said assembled in Mexico. That they didn't have a problem with. It's specifically that they see materials are being moved from China, but now there is kind of a way across or around it. The Chinese ship the products to Vietnam first, and Vietnam becomes the official kind of shipper of the exporter. So they see that the goods are coming from Vietnam, and they're more lenient towards them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was curious about that. I appreciate it. Very interested in understanding how that works.
I understand that we all want to avoid the import tax for US, but US government, as any government in the world, likes their taxes very much.
I love paying my taxes. It has nothing to do with that.
Oh, right. Okay. That's my mistake. Sourcing for wholesale, resale, very easy. You need to, like, We do this a lot, especially for a lot of sellers who are located in New York and New Jersey. You have a Jewish community who is extremely, they're good. They're really good in the wholesale resale, right? You need to get in touch with the distributors dedicated for specific regions. We also get in touch with distributors from other regions because sometimes the distributors are simply sold out. So actually, as a rule of thumb, even China has the order value versus the MOQ. So right now it's a little bit higher, but back in the day, we were kind of going by the rule of thumb that if your order is at around $1,500, the manufacturer is kind of willing to take the order. So it's not only about the MOQs, right? So it can be sort of based on the order value as long as there is a certain threshold. The reason for this threshold to be in place in the first place, because the manufacturer needs to order raw materials from his supplier. So he has the MOQ as well, right? Or a certain amount of money that he needs to spend. So yeah, it's kind of there is a correlation between them, but usually the rule of thumb is that if you're placing an order right now in China about $1,500, the manufacturer is more likely to say yes than no. At least that's what we found out. Freight forwarder work with China, depending on where you're shipping. But I like, if you're shipping from China to US, of course, there are local guys, but I like the ones who book a lot more space on different ships. And that would be Unicargo, for example. These are guys originally, they're like big in US. They work with a lot of Amazon sellers. They know what they're doing. Yes, Turkey is a source of many different things, including very delicious sweets. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions so far.
Thank you so much for your time, and I love that that is up on the screen so people can get a hold of you to talk to you, scan it, send you an email. Yulia, your time is extremely valuable. Your expertise is top in the industry. So thank you for your time and for sharing and being so giving.
No problem. By the way, please share the presentation with all of the people present and stuff like this, because again, this is not all of the information. There is a lot more that we can add. So there's always a lot more information and tons of updates are coming up. So please follow the news, put some Google alerts for yourself, especially when it comes to a shipping situation, because I receive alerts for shipping like every day, and every day my first response is like, holy crap. So yeah. Thank you guys as well for listening.
No, you're the best. And this will become a permanent fixture in the inner circle. We have over 200 hours of content, but I'm going to bump this to the top of the sourcing because I think it's so important that you covered so many amazing things. It needs to be in there for everyone to watch.
Well, as long as if anybody ever has any questions or there was something not clear, you can always drop a message from me on LinkedIn and I will try to answer the question. If I don't respond within 24 hours, please give me some leniency. We also travel quite a bit. So now the next week, I'm flying to, Sebastian is flying to London, I'm flying to Hungary, and then from Hungary, I directly fly to Prosper Show, then Czech Republic, then I forgot where. So yeah.
So I'll see you at Prosper, and then I'll see you at the Top Party. And
yes, exactly. I will try not to hit the balls the same way I didn't hit them last time.
We'll work on a golf lesson while we're out there. Exactly. Have a great evening. Safe travels. I'll see you in a little bit. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.